Hey everyone, I'm Chris with Dream Studios. I am back with a new video. This time, we're doing a 3D modeling tutorial. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to my advanced TINKERCAD tutorial series. This is episode 13. Let's have a closer look at what we're going to accomplish this time. One of my current projects involves a lot of twisted cables and pipes. In this tutorial, we're going to create a tangled array of bent tube detailing. We're primarily using a shape generator called Bent Pipe. Let's explore this together. I'm sure you'll find this a useful and inspirational tutorial for your future projects. Let's go ahead and start this up. I've got a fresh work plane here. So I'm showing you two ways to make tubes. One of them's pretty basic, and the other one is much more effective. I'll show you this first one. I'm going to come over here to my Search Shapes library and type in SVG Revolver. We are going to bring out this SVG Revolver. I'm going to increase its scale a little bit here and change the color. So what I'm going to do here is I can control diameter, I can control its number of sides, I can control, well, the sketch rotation and the revolve angle are for using an SVG. My friend HL ModTech has a great tutorial on the real use of this tool, but I'm just showing you here that you can pretty quickly make some shapes. Now, this tool is a little bit slow to use. You kind of have to wait for it to catch up. I'm going to increase its number of sides. So what I'm going to do is decrease the sketch height, and I can play with its inside diameter. I think I'll max that out. And we'll make this tube, make it even skinnier by decreasing sketch height. Okay, so we're going to make this tube, and I'm going to make a wavy tube to start us out. So I'm going to repeat this. I'm going to use my the mirror tool to get this over here. I'm going to line this up so that it's going to touch. And what I like to do, if I'm going to 3D print something, I like to turn my second object into a hole. Position that guy right there. He's touching. I can tell he's touching because of that dark shape right there. If you haven't seen it yet, I think it was episode 12, I was talking about the cruise tool and how you can make sure that parts are touching each other to save yourself headaches later. All right, so I'm going to repeat this whole thing. I'm actually going to group that second one. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to make sure it's touching, looking good. I'm going to take this whole thing, Control G to group it, Control D to duplicate it, and pretty quickly we have a nice wavy cable, wavy pipe. So I'm going to bring this out here. I'm going to group this whole thing. I can always take it apart later. I'm going to shrink its size down a little bit so we can work with this. Okay, so there is one really quick way just to get like a wavy pipe. I am going to bring out a primitive. This will be our base. I'm just going to make it kind of big. Okay, this will be our platform. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use a shape generator. It's called Bent Tube. This has been out for a few years, but I've never used it until recently. I'm not going to worry about a hole being in this, but if you were doing a project where you wanted a hole, this is a really cool generator because I can tell it to have I can tell the tube to be square. I can tell the tube to be an octagon. I can tell the inside hole shape to be a hexagon. So you get the idea that this has some really cool controls. I could make that inside hole an octagon to match that. Some of our other controls are I can control its width. You've got to be a little bit patient with this tool. Sometimes it takes a minute to kind of catch up to what you're doing. I can control the hole thickness. So I can make it 0 thick. I could make it solid. So I'm going to maximize this wall thickness so that it's solid. I'm going to turn the pipe shape back to a circle. I can leave the hole shape alone because it's already there. Okay, so let's take a look at this from a high angle. As a matter of fact, I'm going to copy the shape. I'm going to build a little library. We'll be needing some various parts. So over here, I'm going to show you that I can change the arc diameter. So I can relax that 90-degree turn with this arc diameter slider. Let's see what this looks like maxed out. So I can really put it up here like this. I can change its bend. I can change its bend angle. Right now it's 90. Let's decrease that to 30. And let's go ahead and change. There's my 30-degree angle now. I can change. I can make it really long, much longer with this arc diameter. Let's go ahead and change that bend angle back to 90. Actually, let's make it more like 120. Give it a second to catch up. Okay, so here is 120 degrees from this end to this end. I, from here, can change its lead-in length, which is on this side here. I can maximize its lead-in length. If I wanted to make this longer here, this is the lead out length. So if you watch up there at the top, I can bring its lead out length. At this point, I can change its arc diameter back to this. I can make it real sharp by making the arc diameter 0. Actually, I don't know if it'd be 0. Let's see what it looks like at 10. Okay, so there is a real sharp angle. Okay, so you get the idea that we have some control here, which I really like. So I'm going to go ahead and change this bend angle to 90. I'm going to change its lead in and lead out to 100. All right, there is another piece of our library. We've got a short 90, a long 90. Let's go ahead and make a, I'm just going to copy this instance one more time, and let's make a long one. So let's change, without changing the wall thickness or the diameter, I want to keep all these the same. Never changing those parameters, but I am going to change its bend angle to, yeah, that's fine, 33, and then let's change its arc diameter to smooth it out. Let's bring that arc diameter back up to, let's say 100. Okay, we have a smoother pipe, and let's copy this, and let's do a sharper diameter. Let's do 130. Let's change its bend angle up. Oh, by the way, you can do this too. You can just, I can play with its bend angle parameters. I can keep changing its arc diameter until I'm really liking these shapes. I'm not doing anything too crazy wide like this, so I am going to stick with a much less aggressive bend. So let's do a bend angle of 120, but we're going to make the angle less. Let's bring that bend angle to 120. Okay. Yeah, I like it. And as a matter of fact, I might duplicate this, bring it over here, revolve it. So now we have a pipe over here that just kind of bends in on itself. Zoom in here. Join it up. Why not? Why not? All right, so I'm going to take this shape out of my way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this whole group. This is our little library of pieces. I'm going to shrink it down to something that's reasonable to use on this surface. So I'm going to shrink them to something like this, maybe a little bigger. I like it, and I like this shape here. I'm actually going to take this, duplicate it, duplicate that again, zoom in here, join this. So now we've got this really wildly bendy turn. I might do that one more time. Let's go ahead and duplicate that one more time. All right. And this, I'm going to enlarge just a bit. Doesn't have to be the same diameter. We're going to make a really crazy model here today. Okay, to finish my library, I'm just going to bring out a standard tube, lay it down on its side, maximize its sides, stretch it out. We're going to shrink it down to match the diameter of these guys. I can do that real quick by just measuring one of these. It's 5.49 tall. So if I go ahead and shrink this down to 5.49. Okay, so I've got a straightaway. Let's make a connector. Turn one of these 90. Let's make a small connector like this. Let's save this guy out to the side. Let's go ahead and bump him, shrink him, and him. We'll make a little T-bar here. Select both shapes. Center that to that. Group it. All right, here is our shape library. Let's go ahead and play. And let's go ahead and start laying on some of these pipes. I'm going to duplicate each one that I bring out so that I always have my full library available to me. I'm going to use my cruise tool. I've got an entire tutorial just on the cruise tool if you want to check that out. Very useful tool. I'm going to turn this 90. I'm going to go ahead and place this. I'm not going to worry about everything touching the surface. I'm going to get it reasonably close to the surface. If you are 3D printing this project and you're worried about parts not printing, go ahead and turn your pieces into holes, and then you can drag them down to where they touch. So I know I'm touching there, so that will be able to print without an issue. All right, let's turn these angles into hyper bright colors. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this 90 a couple times. Let's keep two close together right there. Let's do another two. Let's grab just one of them. Control D. So now let's grab one of these bendy guys. I'm going to duplicate, cruise tool. Let's cruise him up here. Let's shrink him again. And let's kind of just make him live. He's going to live all the way across in a diagonal. Like that. Okay, let's grab our straightaways. Again, I'm going to grab him. I'm going to duplicate. Going to bring him in with the cruise tool. Actually, I should have done this earlier. But I'm just going to take him and I'm going to line him up the best I can. Again, I'm not being very careful. I'm just giving you an example here. Let's duplicate him over. Arrow. And I'm going to connect these guys together. Right there. Duplicate. Arrow. There's only one of these here. Okay, very good. Now let's make one of these branch into a T. So let's grab our T. Control D to duplicate. Cruise tool to bring him in. 90-degree angle. Let's join him up. So now we've got a future here. We have a T. So I'm going to grab this interesting guy. Duplicate him. Cruise him up here. And let's make him meet up here. Like so. And let's make him do a quick 90. Duplicate this guy. Cruise him up. Join him up. All right, so he's going to turn a 90, and then maybe it's going to just do something real crazy over here. And do a quick 90 here. I'm going to use my mirror tool. I'm going to duplicate this guy over to 90. And then let's have him finish on a 90 degree. So I'm going to take one of these instances. I'm going to take an instance of this, bring it on up here. I'm going to rotate this one 90. I'm working really fast, so this got to let this catch up for a minute. Okay, let's rotate him. Bring him on in here. And this is one of our bent pipes, so I can take his lead. I think that's the lead out. Nope. It's his lead in. So I'm going to decrease his lead in so that he just touches right there. And then I can take its lead out and maximize that so it reaches the bottom. Okay, here is our start. So I am going to go ahead and do something procedural with this guy. I'm going to go ahead and steal, well, let's do something different. Let's go ahead and grab this interesting angle. Well, not that one, this one. He is a single, so I'm going to take him, duplicate, cruise him up. Okay, so I'm going to cruise him up here. I am going to take him, I'm going to join him here. This is starting to look kind of crazy, but that's what we're going for. I totally forgot my big long snake. I'm going to copy him. Same procedure. Make sure that he's sitting down flat. Let's shrink him so it's a smaller tube. And let's get him right here. That's pretty cool. Let's duplicate him. Actually, yes, let's duplicate this guy. I'm just making this up as I go, you guys. And I'm going to turn this sideways this way. So I've got kind of this weird snaky guy. I think I'll go ahead and duplicate him one more time. Make him so that he connects right there and there. I think this is looking pretty good. I might duplicate him just one more time. Twist him up this way. Make him connect into that rat's nest and make him connect something like that. All right. All right, let me show you how I'm going to clean up some of these pipes. These abandoned pipes right here. I am going to bring in some additional shapes. So I'm going to import. I've got a Greebly library. I might make this one available to the public for like $1 or $2 if I spend a few days kind of throwing them together. Let me show you some of them. I've got TinkerCAD tutorial. So I've got these Greebly libraries. Just a whole bunch of bits and pieces. Tons of little parts. I am just going to grab a couple of boxes out of these. Here, let's go ahead and see if we can take a quick look. Yeah, I've got little bits and pieces. So let me spend a few minutes grabbing some of these parts, bringing them in here, and I'll show you what I'll do next. Okay, I brought in a few of these Greeblies. Some of these are from some of the studio scale model stuff I've done over the years. I just grabbed a few pieces. Just kind of played with the size a little bit. So let's go ahead and place these. I'm going to turn this into one color. As a matter of fact, I think I'll take this, group it, so I don't accidentally start moving things around, and change its color. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to start grabbing Greeblies and placing them here and there where I think they'd be appropriate, like right here. I think I'll put a Greebly. Just something here that's cooler to be here instead of just two pipes that just suddenly end. Let's grab this guy. Let's make him a little bit taller. And just spend a few minutes using your imagination. You know what? Let's get this up here to the top. And let's find a place for him to live. I think, yeah, let's stick him right here. I've got a pipe that just stops right there, so I'm gonna grab this piece. And I think I'll time lapse this, but I'm just gonna go ahead and start placing these little Greeblies here and there. And see if we could just flesh this out, spend a minute making it a little more complex. Here we go. Alright, and here we have this piece. I covered up most of the loose ends on this pipework. I'm not going to spend all day doing this, but that was done in just a few minutes with that little Greebly pack. So this will give you an example of what you can do with the bent tube feature and also the SVG revolver. Kind of a fun little tool. Allows you to create these custom pipes. All right, I'm glad you were able to join me on this tutorial, guys. As always, the goal of my videos, and this is episode 13 of this TinkerCAD specific training, is to provide you with some inspiration for your projects, maybe help bump up your models a little bit. I really appreciate you watching this video. Thanks so much. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe, feel free to leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next video.